Do you need help with teaching your dog to find heel position? Well, you've come to the right channel. Having your dog know how to line up by your side is a foundation skill for loose leash walking. If they can't find heel position when you're stationary, they certainly can't maintain it when you start moving. Coming to heel should also be the start of every walk to make sure that you walk off together at the same time. And it's the way to get your dog to find heel position if they get ahead of you and you need to reset. This is really critical for teaching your dog to heel. So when we think about teaching a dog to walk next to us, we have to start with the obvious of them starting out physically next to us. Many people don't actually teach their dog how to get into that position. We want our dogs to find the act of being next to us valuable, and we need to teach them to find that position so we can walk off together as a team. I also see a lot of people who will go to wherever the dog is and line themselves up in heel position, so they're really adjusting to the dog. Then they get frustrated when the dog won't come close to them on their own, but they've never actually taught the dog to find heel position as a formal skill. We can teach that, and we're gonna start today with a few simple exercises that you can start right at home. Hi, I'm Laura from Doggy U, and I'm a certified guide dog mobility instructor, service dog trainer, and trick trainer. And today we're gonna go back to basics and teach your dog to come to heel. The come to heel is what I'm going to teach you today because it's a pretty simple one to teach and you can start using it immediately, and it's useful in a wide variety of circumstances. So let's get started. All right, so when you're training this skill, you can use a hand touch or a lure to set your dog up. I like to use a hand touch. If your dog doesn't know a hand touch yet or isn't really solid on it, I highly recommend you check out this video up here next so that you can teach a really solid hand touch. But in this video, I'm gonna show you how to do it with both the hand touch and the lure so you have options. So grab your treat pouch and some small mid-value snacks for your dog. I'll link my favorites down below. So we're gonna start with a warm-up. Most dogs just really haven't been reinforced enough in the position we want them to be in while heeling. So we're gonna start with this really simple exercise to get the juices flowing and have a good practice for you and your dog. If your dog has a front foot target or a forefoot target onto a platform, you can use it for this exercise. Alternatively, you can use a lure. You're going to line yourself up next to a wall with enough space for your dog to stand between you and the wall. You're gonna start by simply presenting your hand touch or luring them into position by your side. If you've never worked on an exercise like this before, you and your dog are both gonna have to work on your mechanics. Having good mechanics is a critical part of good training. You're going to work on reinforcing with the hand closest to your dog, which includes reaching into your treat pouch and feeding them with the treat between your thumb and the meat of your hand. This prevents any nibbling and puts the dog right where you want them to be. You're feeding right at your pant leg with your dog's shoulder in line with your leg. Your dog is going to have to figure out how to stand and eat. I know that sounds really silly that they need to figure that out, but it's absolutely the case. Most people tend to feed their dogs in front of them with their dog looking at them. Dogs have to learn how to physically eat food while standing next to you. Okay, so now that we have our dog in position, we're going to mark and feed 10 times without the dog moving. So you click and reward or say yes, and then reward. It's important that you mark the position before you feed. You want to take a picture of the behavior that you want. And you don't want to start reaching for your treat pouch before you mark. And also, don't let your hand live in your treat pouch. It's not a place for it to hang out. When you've marked and fed them 10 times, say free to let them know that they're done with this exercise. You can even end with a cookie scatter on the floor. Now take a break and repeat this exercise in a later session or in a few minutes. Once we're done with that exercise, we're gonna move on to another exercise where your dog actually finds heel position. I like to use a front foot target for this one. If you've never taught a front foot target before, don't worry, I got you. There's a full video tutorial up here. But know that you're gonna have to build a lot of value for finding and getting on that front foot target before you use it for this exercise. Alternatively, you can use a hand touch to help the dog find heel position, or you can combine the foot target and the hand touch at the same time. So to practice, we're going to gently toss a cookie behind us for our dog to go and chase after. Be sure you're on a non-slip surface and you guide your dog out of heel position with the food before throwing it, so they're not doing a lot of twisting. Once they eat the cookie, we're going to look back, present our hand at our side, and have them come up and touch your hand. As soon as they do, we mark and reward. Remember to mark before you reach for your food. We then use whatever word you use to let them know you're tossing the food, like get it, and toss a reset cookie behind again. We're going to do this 10 times, take a break, and do a second set. Notice that I'm tossing the food behind on purpose to have the dog find heel position, but not forge ahead. Once your dog is successfully running out to chase the cookie and then running right back and finding heel position, it's time to teach you those come to heel moves, which is basically a little dance you're gonna do with you and your dog. But before we get to that, if you're finding this video valuable and you want to positively reinforce me so I continue to pop out these videos every week, head on down and boop that like button. Doing so helps the channel grow, which means that you get more free training videos every week. So head on down and boop it. So here's what the full behavior looks like. But it's a little dancey, so we're gonna break it down into the human and the dog portion. Note that the dog ends up with their shoulder in line with my knee. Also, we don't need to have the dog sit once they get into position. Most of the time, we're gonna be immediately walking off, so having them sit and then stand is pretty inefficient. We're gonna mark for them simply lining up in that stand position next to our knee. We're gonna start with the human side of the training, and we're also going to pretend that we're gonna have our dog heeling on your left-hand side, because most people tend to heel their dogs on their left because most people are right dominant. That being said, you can do this on either side with your dog, and you probably should to make sure that your dog stays nice and balanced. So you're gonna start by planting your right foot. You then take a step back with your left foot, keeping your right foot planted and stationary. At the same time, your hand is going to go further back than your foot. If you're using a food lure, you're making a U shape that moves towards your body, so your dog will get in close at the end of the behavior versus turning away from you. So it goes outside to inside, the dog is turning to their left. If you're using a hand touch, your dog will touch your hand in the back, turn in a U towards you, and then you'll flip your hand so they can touch it in the front as well, and move your left foot back towards your right foot so they meet. Note that your right foot never moved. You're simply moving your left foot backwards and then forwards again, like you're doing the alley cat from the 3rd grade. That's the human part. How far back you need to step has a lot to do with how long your dog is. Our goal is to have the dog be able to be lined up straight so we're both facing the same direction at the end. For little dogs, it might be a small step, and for larger dogs, it might be a really big exaggerated step at first. Okay, for the dog portion, the dog is typically starting in front of you. We'll go ahead and do it with a lure first. You're going to put a moist, yummy treat on your dog's nose and let them lick it. You'll then slowly pull your hand back as you take your step back. Your goal is to go slowly enough that your dog stays connected to the treat like a magnet. Some dogs will need you to do a few reps where you mark and feed in the back position, so in that furthest extended position. Once your dog is back near your left foot, you'll slowly turn that cookie in a U towards your body, and now the dog will follow the cookie forward. You stop your hand with your dog in line with the seam of your pants and mark and feed. You can then toss a cookie away to reset. For the hand touch version of the come to heel, the dog starts in front of you. You step back and the dog walks forward and touches your hand in the furthest back position. Then you flip your hand over and put it at the seam of your pants. Your dog turns to their left and follows the hand up front and touches it. You mark and reward as soon as they do. Now you need to practice. I recommend doing 5 to 10 reps off leash in the house a few times a day for the first few days. Next, you're gonna add a leash to your practice inside, which will change the dynamic slightly because you'll have to figure out how much leash you need to give your dog space to do the skill. Once you're successful doing that, take it outside to the backyard or to the driveway to practice. Eventually, you won't need the front and back hand touch, and you'll be able to keep your leash in your left hand and just draw it back and forward, and your dog will magically be by your side. Now everyone says, Laura, when can I name this behavior? When can I put it on cue? And I say, relax, human, and stop rushing it. Dogs do not speak English very well, and ultimately they're mostly watching our body more than anything else. So my rule for naming anything is if you think that your dog, when you do your come to heel maneuver, is going to get into heel position and you're willing to bet me $100 or a really nice sushi dinner, then we can name it. That's when we can name it. When you're willing to bet that the dog is going to do it on the physical cue, we can put a word on it. So to go ahead and name it, what you're gonna do is you're gonna say the words, come to heel, and then you're going to do your physical maneuver that gets your dog into position. As soon as they get in position, you mark and reward. You're gonna repeat that many times before the dog starts anticipating that come to heel means get at your side. Then once your dog is doing really nicely with this, we can use it to set ourselves up before our walks, get our dog into heel position, or to reset if your dog starts getting ahead slightly. So there you have it. Be sure to tag me over on Instagram at doggy.u so that I can show off your training progress. And if you like this video and want to see 150 more Patreon exclusive videos, plus a live Q&A with me, or you just really want to support the work that I'm doing here on the channel, the best way to do that is to go to patreon.com/doggyu and join the community. And if you found this video helpful and you want to take the next step towards training your dogs to walk nicely in heel position, you're gonna want to watch this video next, so click on it now. You all have an awesome day and happy training.